Okay, so how about we build a racer? Yes, you heard me correct. We're going to be doing a racer. It's no longer going to be a rally mower project. I'm not going to use this seat because it's been pretty well beat up. I'm actually going to swap this seat with that seat pan. This seat pan is a little bit wider and sits just a little bit lower. It's actually pretty comfortable, but what I'll end up doing is welding brackets, or I'll weld a hinge onto it, so that way I can maybe just like leather it or some form of like padding in the center. Ooh, dusty. But I'm looking for a Vanguard V-twin. I'm going to run a built 700 series Peerless. We're mainly right in here, hopefully. We're aiming in this area. I can always cut all this out and just put a plate. And I'll make it a plate that I can put washers underneath and spacers, so that way I can adjust it. This, of course, is going to be my engine pulley, is what I'm hoping. Because I know you get over 18 horsepower, and your engine shaft pulley goes from 1 inch to 1 1/8, which kind of sucks. But I'm hoping I can run my own pulleys, because I don't really want to put too much money into the drivetrain. That's mainly where they start getting you, as the drivetrain components. And at least you don't have to cotter pin every bolt, because, I mean, like, this, I'd end up putting a crown nut on it and just cotter pinning through the crown, and it's really, it's a bit of a pain in my book. But we'll definitely be running something awesome. For the axle, I'm not going to be running these. I'm going to be running something more into the likes of these. It's got to be some form of turf savers, with pattern distinctly similar to this or this. This is a, these are new tires. I got these at Walmart. These are actually pretty good tires. But for the fuel pump, I'm going to be keeping this fuel pump with my return. But the way I'm going to sort of cheat the system, this is my own little trick. You need tons of fuel when you stomp on it. Well, I'm going to be able to vary how much pressure I can put in by putting one of those little variable shut-offs. And I'll put a good spring on it, so that way it'll be like a little needle jet, almost. You can vary how much fuel will go back in my tank. So you notice my outlet and that joint just goes right in there. We're going to be modifying the steering. I'm going to do the Ackerman setup. I'll most likely just weld a plate onto this and, you know, just drill and tap that and put good straight arms on it. I'm actually going to build my own front end. I'm going to use, I believe, 2x3 steel, or maybe it's, oh god, it's like 2 inch by maybe 4 or 5 inches. Box steel, pretty heavy duty. I want to go heavy duty on this front end. Can't tell you the amount of times I've seen people fail these front ends. With the V-twin, I'm going to see if I can get one like maybe off of an MTD where the exhaust will just drop off. Sort of like in a style like this Kohler has. The exhaust just presses into the exhaust. Don't know how well you can see it, but it just presses into there. Except what I'm going to do is I'm just going to modify, make a pipe that's a collector, and it'll just run down. This will turn into my brake, you know, like it was originally designed. It was originally a brake pedal, because that's the little tab at the bottom, that little nub right there, is actually what holds the brake. So it'll run brakes. Pretty sure I'm going to run a hydraulic brake, you know, with the master cylinder and everything. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that, but I might figure it out. Electrical, I'm going to completely redo. I'm going to save the harness for this engine, even though it's awesome, but I can't run it. I mean, I would, but I'm going to end up putting a lot of money in this that I don't want to. And synchro balancers, these tend to let go most in these single cylinders. You got to find out how you can build them up and not destroy them. because you can get kits that remove the synchro balancers. Problem is, I cannot find any that will go on my 31 cubic inch 16 horse. I cannot find any whatsoever. I've already looked it up, so can't run this engine, unfortunately. It's a given, you got to have a tether, because I'm building to FX class, which ought to be pretty fun. Front end, well, I'm sort of stuck in the middle here. I think I want to use these, but here's the thing. It's a little bit tricky, but I want it to look similar to a lawnmower with like 15s on the back. I'm thinking 10s on the front. I'll be running 10s on the front. There's usually a 5-inch difference between the front and back tire. Like those are 20s, those are 15s. Now I can compare those two because they are still Carlisles. I will be running Carlisles that look similar to this. It's sort of like an S shape. It's really good. It's got some deep tread. And Jeremy Lee was we actually were on Facebook last night on Southern Off-Road Mowers. We got to talking, and what I'm going to do is shell out this 46-inch cutting deck because, well, I don't want to repair it and try to sell it because this one barely turns. This one, nice grind in the bearings, and this one, I can barely turn it. So, spindles pretty much need to be replaced on this. So I'm just going to end up shelling it out and using this as like an underbody. Make it look similar. And since it's so wide, I can maybe, just maybe, figure out how to use it as like a belly pan almost, to where like crap falls underneath. It's not going to go up and wrap in my axle. It'll act as a deflector almost. The body, I have it right here. I didn't throw it away. Thought I would, but no. I'm just going to cut this section out, weld in a good piece of pipe, or weld in a good piece of steel. But what I'm actually going to do is cut it down. Just like remove 2 inches out and lower it. And of course, I'm going to end up putting a steel plate here. And I'm going to repair all of this. Actually, I'm just going to get a torch and heat all this up and bend it out. Remove all this crap. Refix it. This, of course, is they won't even allow that. Cup holder, I doubt they'll let me use. I don't even know what happened to the cup holder that was in there. It's somewhere now, but as you see, I already got the slot for the brake. I'll end up running the clutch through a slot here because it's got to be clutch, brake, and hand throttle, which is kind of neat. Pretty sure nothing in here I can use. Like, I know there's a light in here off of this snowmobile oil and fuel gauge. Just kind of seen better days. It's got its bullet connectors, and I'll see if the light still works. I'll have to put it to 12 volts, but you never know. They might. I don't know. I'll have to check. And my welder is kind of, or well, my charger is kind of put up, or well, hiding out of the way. So let's just so yep, light still works. So I'll use that as my dummy light. I'll have to put the amp meter, or the resistor on it, see how much amperage it takes to, or well, I'll put a like a multimeter on it. I'm not going to run anything like this because I don't see the purpose to, but the light does work, which means I can use it as a dummy light. I'm going to put dummy lights in it and gauges. Now I'm hoping on this V-twin I have more than one drain, so that way I can remove, like on this Kohler, it's got a drain there, And a drain plug hidden underneath here, which is kind of awesome because I can add a oil temperature and oil pressure gauge. I'm just basically going to do the works for gauges: oil pressure, oil temperature, you know, the pressure sensor. And this light will tell me if I got power or not, you know, because I'll run it for relays and stuff. And this whole harness that I basically just built is not going to work, but I will save it for this engine. Definitely will. But I'm not going to keep this key because this key has a tendency to come out since it's only a padlock key. No big deal. But definitely am going to keep this engine though. I'm not going to let go and sell it to some dude. I know I'll just rub the balls off of it till it goes bang, and then goes and puts up another ad on Craigslist for another. I've seen those people. I've seen them on YouTube. Like, oh, got a new engine. Let's see how long it takes before it goes. Yeah, not the kind of person. So, the way you see it is now, it won't be the same. Put my big ass roll of 10 gauge wire. The hood, the only thing I can see that I'm going to have to do with the hood is chop it. Just chop it down. I'll just relocate the mounting bracket. Just relocate it into like here. But I'll have it to the Fearless front style to where all I got to do is like pull a pin and it comes out. I'm thinking I may run a fuel cell in the center. Like I said, I was going to cut it down about 2 or 3 inches. So 2 or 3 inches out of here, which means I can take out these pockets. There's just nothing there. I mean, I don't want that. I don't want any part of the, you know, this hole. Now on the V-twin, I'm basically going to do a standard build-up. I'm going to run a lot of blueprinted parts, like blueprinted heads with all the whatnots for that, and the Y-School pistons, the billet rods. And for starter, believe it or not, starters between the singles and the V-twins are exactly the same. But when you get to the opposed twins, those have got a special starter. But I'm going to be running something special, as in it's basically like a car starter. You know, it's going to be a lot more durable and rugged and be able to crank these things over. What the hell? Oh. This thing has some compression. But the only form of starters they said you gotta have is either electric, that has to be on board, or pull start. So, no big.